Let me tell you a story. A true story. My tale. I find it difficult to disclose this openly. Almost nobody knows about my most profound recent event. I kept it to myself for a while, afraid to tell anyone. I needed time to process the encounter and its meaning. Additionally, sharing it is scary. Will they think? How will I be assessed? Will anyone believe me? I was inspired to overcome those obstacles by the few people I've gently told. Their reactions showed me that even a personal experience may affect others. That some stories must be told, despite the difficulty. I'm ready. I hope you are. The tale of me. Disease can shake a family like nothing else. I started having worrying symptoms a year ago. I was initially unconcerned about a young, healthy woman. Until medical testing kept coming back negative and my problems worsened. My doctors and I started at the bottom and worked up every option. But no luck. No test showed issues. Zero medicine helped. My symptoms persisted after little surgery. Stress doesn't describe my feelings for months of not knowing what was wrong. My life changed in many ways. In addition, some months saw unconnected personal heartbreaks. Things were hard. I had to be tough and smile often. Even though my spouse sometimes cried when he looked at me out of fear of losing me. Still, I needed strength. I enjoyed every simple, happy moment in those long, difficult months. A hysterectomy was reluctantly suggested to eliminate the symptoms. My surgeon might also see what's inside me and provide answers with surgery. We booked the hysterectomy and anticipated a long but hopeful recovery. I felt confident before surgery. Not my first major surgery. I recognized the risks, agony, and difficulty for me and my family. I had a routine total abdominal hysterectomy. I was comfortable after being hit by a bus, if you can call it comfortable. In the hospital, I could push morphine every 30 minutes. A beautiful drain tube protruded from my draped midsection. I stayed positive since everything went as planned. My uterus and ovarian biopsy results were good, so we were relieved. Nothing appeared wrong. After 2 nights, I was free to recover at home and regain my health and life. That didn't happen. After a few hours at home, my pain skyrocketed. Nothing unexpected, though. I took 2 Percocets for post-surgery pain. I tried to sleep on my husband's cozy recliner in our bedroom because I have a high pain threshold, which has been tested many times. Nope. I was fetal on our bedroom floor screaming by midnight. Pain was excruciating. It was as if someone had ripped open my stomach with their fingers, took out my organs and intestines, put them in a blender, blended them on low power, poured petrol on them, lighted them on fire, and slammed them back into me. Though not entirely right, that's the closest I can come. Never wish it on anyone or anything. My husband Sawyer rushed me to the ER. Everything was irrelevant to me because of the excruciating pain. I was seen immediately in the ER. Bad sign. I was almost fainting and wanted an IV with a strong painkiller. I was told my heart rate was 185. Normal is 60. My fever was mild. I don't remember my blood pressure because I just cared about the awful discomfort. I was hospitalized again. My paralytic ileus, a consequence of anesthesia, caused my intestines to stay asleep and inflate, according to the CT scans. I also had a bloody belly on my second ultrasound. I was bleeding internally. I barely remember the days after it. My illness was fatal. Doctors, nurses, medical personnel, and only relatives visited daily. Sawyer never left me. Pain was my only reality. To wake up my intestines and be rushed to surgery, I couldn't eat or drink. Walk as much as possible, they said, even after an injection of my favorite medication. Every step hurt. My doctor suggested surgery to find the bleeding site, but another surgeon declined owing to my additional issue. We were stalled then. I was low but stable. I would remain tightly observed. I had 2 blood transfusions and many antibiotics. My family fought tears around me. My husband amazed me with his strength and empathy. It was the scariest thing to happen to our family, but all I could think about was agony. I was in constant pain, something I couldn't picture any living thing experiencing. I scarcely slept due to discomfort. Sometimes I closed my eyes for a few minutes and dreamed only of pain and dread, frightening myself awake. Except one night. White enveloped me when I opened my eyes. No walls, floor, just misty white space. I stood straight and tall for the first time since the surgery and discomfort. I was shocked when it vanished. I felt warm and tranquil, feelings I had forgotten. My body was healthy again. I felt light and smooth. My dress was basic white. I felt great. Anthony appeared through the mist. He awaited someone on a white bench. As I approached, he stood and faced me. Happy to see my long-lost pal again. Time appeared to stop, and everything seemed formal. He grinned his famous smile and put his right hand on my left shoulder. His eyes remained fixed on my face despite our silence. A dazzling light appeared behind Anthony and to my right. It started little but grew brighter and stronger. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Radiating colors and sentiments words can't explain, brilliant blues and affection. Although brighter than the sun, it didn't damage my eyes to look at it. Heavenly. Unable to look away. Seeing my loved one after a long time was like seeing them again. I sensed pure, unconditional love in that light. This was everything. It was all that was and will be. I wanted to participate. The want to walk towards and dissolve into it was overwhelming. I belonged. It called and waited for me. Anthony was still holding my shoulder as I stared into his eyes. Joy and affection overcame me. His look verified what I knew, that was the light, and Anthony was there to guide me. I was taken home by him. Sawyer came to mind suddenly. I peered left through the fogginess of the white floor. I imagined my spouse sleeping on the tiny fold-out couch next to my bed, fully dressed and feet and arms hanging over the sides. I yearned for him. I wanted to lie next to him, soothe him, and reassure him everything would be well. I desired his company. I felt like I had answered a question without saying. Anthony grinned again and warmly squeezed my shoulder when I looked back. I had announced my choice without a word, not ready to leave. My feet got cement heavy. I could only watch Anthony walk into that magnificent light, which devoured him and left me behind. The moment faded as I fell slowly through the white emptiness. I reopened my eyes. Pain was crippling. My body is feeble. I had no choice but endure. My IV drip resonated around the room, reminding me of my location. Sawyer on the tiny pull-out couch, my hospital bed on the left. As usual, my misery consumed me the next day and night. It was a countdown to see how much I could manage psychologically as the agony subsided. I would claw my way out of my skin to end my misery. My damaged body trapped me. I cried and begged for an end every 3 hours. I tried to be courageous, grit my teeth, and endure every time. After the agony was pumped into my IV and the metallic taste hit my lips, the cycle began again. Sawyer wanted to exchange places with me, but I would never consent, even theoretically. My body wore down. I was a gray-skinned skeleton with a swollen belly full of blood, glazed and dull eyes, oily hair, IV bruises on my arms, many needle pricks from blood tests, hollowed cheeks, and cracked lips. I broke down. Life is delicate. My remarkable turning point came the night after my dream. I hated waking Sawyer up every hour to help me use the bathroom. I let him sleep and did it myself, which I was proud of. Once back in bed, I felt moisture under my legs, depressed that I now had incontinence. I checked under the sheets. Blood-soaked fingers frightened me when I raised my hand. I was sitting in my blood. I could see it spreading through the sheets. The next 15 minutes were a whirlwind of controlled chaos. Nurses, my husband, my mom, tests, and an outpouring of blood and clots. I thought my life was over. The end. The nurse told us that the doctor claimed this was blood from my belly that was ejected vaginally through the internal stitches after talking to him and checking my vitals. The blood they intended my body to reabsorb was suddenly freed as long as my vitals remained stable. Then I was fine. He would examine me soon. I lost approximately 2 liters of blood and 800 of fist-sized blood clots, which the nurse stated resembled my liver. All this happened in just 45 minutes. My bedroom was terrifying. Suddenly, my discomfort subsided like a miracle. I eventually felt better after almost a week, but it cost me an unexpected bloodbath. After 48 hours, my heart rate dropped from 140 to 90. Good blood pressure, stable hematocrit, and awake intestines. Starting liquids was eventually allowed. Campbell's soup juice was never so wonderful. I was improving. I left the hospital 2 nights following the bloodbath. My doctor provided me his number to text my heart rate and blood pressure every few hours. Naturally, I feared another internal bleed. He was available for questions and checked on me constantly. I still hurt, but it was the kind I could take. I could finally begin my long rehabilitation. 2 weeks after returning home, I had another bleeding scare that sent me back to the ER, but stopped strangely. I slept in bed for a month after that. I'm still healing. My amazing family took care of my kids, and my remaining friends checked on me often. Then Sawyer. I can't express what he did for me. I'd be lost without them. I've kept this recollection quiet for months, yet I think about it every day. Its sheer beauty amazes me. I knew nothing about them before my NDE. Like many of us, I had heard of them but never considered them. They didn't matter to me, and I never anticipated this to happen to me. Nothing in my mind could have generated it. Since then, my study has verified my experience. People around the world, some dead and some near death, have strikingly similar experiences and sentiments. My experience was real. This is not a sermon. Faith, spirituality, and science have always been balanced in me. I think it's reaffirmed what I've always believed in my heart and soul. I have always thought that God is love and that I am witness to a higher force that binds us all. No further explanations needed. I know there is a higher power. Heaven and an afterlife exist, disproving whatever doubts I had. I fear pain now, not death. Death is the most beautiful thing ever. I stood at the edge of eternity and was divinely granted to return. I love Sawyer and chose that. Even typing that makes me cry. I no longer question life's purpose. Never before have I felt so tranquil. Unfortunately, suffering, selfishness, and brutality will always be part of this world, but I know that a world of love and light beyond this, a realm of tranquility beyond what our mortal bodies can comprehend, is waiting for me and you. This near-death experience of a woman with a mind-bending story and so much wisdom is not to be missed.